Yeah, I was discussing some things about spirituality, right? And I got some feedback on that from someone who just doesn't want to even use the word spiritual, because I'm saying the word spiritual is a metaphysical, and he's saying why even invoke that word? It just invites all the fluffy and well, as in Mendham would say, because it was in Mendham, the phantasmagoricals. But is involves something I brought up many times before, and it's really one of the, if there's something you could learn from me and you don't know about intentional and extensional meaning, then that would be something worth learning, because, and it's not even, my thing, though my view and my use of it, I think is maybe unique, but the idea itself is just from regular classical Western philosophy, philosophical language analysis, to be specific. And it's the idea that any term has two kinds of definition. There's an intentional and extensional definition. Okay, but there's more to it than just realizing that. But first, you have to realize what they are. Okay, so the intension is like the dictionary definition. The extension is the set of all the things, and they're given. Both of these definitions are given a word, which is some sort of symbol, either in sound or graphical symbol. Sonic, we're graphical, and sonical, and so that's two different types of definition. Now, the intention is trying to be like an algorithm that would pick out of the real world which things go in that set. Okay. In other words, it is in reference to the set. A good definition is one that gets the things in the set. The set actually comes first. So, for example, coyotes. You notice a lot of coyotes before you give them the name coyote. And then you try to give a good intentional definition. If you go to the dictionary, you'll see the intentional definition of a coyote, an animal of blah, blah, blah characteristics. All right? Now, the funny thing is, of course, there's multiple intentional definitions associated with the word. When you say the word, you invoke the extension, you invoke the intention, and then there's multiple intentions. Okay? And some of these other intentions are, just other people's attempts, or supposedly a better attempt, at trying to get that algorithm to describe that group. So in coyotes, originally, we would have a morphological definition. Here is the shape and color of these coyotes. That's how we know that animal is a coyote. But there's problems with that. There's certain, like if a coyote gives birth to just a ball of fur, let's say, and is that a coyote? Not morphologically. Well, there you can have another intentional definition based on these characteristics of the genes of the animal, and then a genetic test will tell you what a coyote is. Okay. In addition to that, a word can have multiple extensions associated with it. Different contexts apply different extensions. Okay. Well, with spirituality, the thing is, what is the extension? When people talk about their spiritual self and whatnot, what is the extension? What are the things in the real world that we're describing? And it's pretty simple. I mean, we do have a spiritual body. It's the body that we have in our dreams. Now, it's not metaphysical, okay? But the point is, it's different from the body in the physical world. It is, just a dream self. And during the day, it pretends to be doing what it thinks the body is doing. And when you're dreaming, it is free of the body, and it just moves in its own way. And it's reasonable that people thought it was metaphysical, because it's obviously not physical. They just didn't know any theory of computation that would lead them to suspect what we now see, which is that a physical object like a computer can model non-physical phenomena, and actually tends to model non-physical phenomena. So the phenomena are ironically modeled using physical means, okay, and that's why everything is still material. The brain is the material means, but then the thing modeled becomes there's a crosses a threshold and becomes a different type of a thing. So our imaginary bodies is our spiritual body. Now we could just say, well, why not call it the dream self? Why not call it actually would People do call it the dream self, and I don't think that the Menhems of the world like that any better, or the ardent, anti-woo-woo, side cop type atheists. They probably don't like themselves either. But I could use some technical term like that, but wait a second. The point is that there's a lot of people out there that refer to this dream body as our spiritual self. That's what they're talking about, you see. We can debate what the intention should be. So there's this set of our spirit body, and our experiences of this dream body, of moving in it and whatnot, both when we're awake, sleep, and the rest. And that's been given a name, spiritual. So what I want to debate is the intentional definition of the spiritual body. I want to debate, first of all, saying it's a metaphysical thing is out. Those intentional definitions are bad. There's a problem with their construction. And so I want to put in place, an intentional definition of what it really is. Now, the kind of ardent atheists that just reject that entirely and instead say, no, there is no spiritual things. This is none of it's there. The problem then is that they're ignoring the fact that they're living their life by moving this, this imaginary body. They're trying to sync it up with what's going on with the real body, both in what's happening to the real body and also in what the real body is going to be, doing. But it doesn't sync up perfectly, and even if it did, which would mean, I guess, you never had dreams, you just dream of lying in bed. If it did perfectly, there would still be two entities. It'd just be harder to notice. So, they're actually being less realistic than a spiritualist that realizes they have these two bodies. Even though they have a bad intentional definition of what that body really is, and they think it's metaphysical, and maybe they give it magic powers it doesn't really have because it's just pretend. But at least they realize there are the two. They can understand that there are the two, and it's important to running that real body efficiently is to understand that you're doing it through this spirit body or this imaginary dream body. And so when you ignore that body exists and you're just pretending that you are in that one real body, but you're in your pretend, just pretending to be doing what the real body is doing, what it's getting information. I mean, if you lose certain nerves and don't get information about where your body is, you don't know. And so, you're pretending to be in that position that your body really is in, but you don't know that. You just think everything's really real. So you get to be really, really opinionated. You think everything that you see is actual as can be, and that's not a good thing. So I'm going to take the extension of spiritual experiences, the spirit body, and all of this. I'm going to give it a materialistic definition of what's really on there, and it may not be useful. Not be enlightening. It may or may not be all that some of the people hoped it could be, because it'll be about pretend and, well, what good is it? A lot of people would rather have magic than pretend. Myself, I'm really pretend. I think pretend is a kind of magic.